We'll give you 30 seconds to choose.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this wonderful, glorious day and the beautiful day that you gave us on Mother's Day. We're thankful that we can meet here together and carry out the wishes of the Cherokee people and watch over us and help us make good, wise decisions. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Dean. And we'll say that's meeting here, start at 12:10. Convocation by Councilman Fulbright. Roll call. Shelley.
Joe Bird.
Honey.
Don Garland. Bill Anglin.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Julia Coates. Jody Fishinghop. Meredith Rayleigh. Janelle Fulbright. Present. Frankie Hargis.
Present.
Chuck Hoskin Jr.
Here.
Tyler Gloria Jordan.
Present.
Lee Keener.
Tommy.
Dick Blay.
Here.
Curtis Snell.
Here.
David Thornton. David Walking Stick. Kara Cowan Watts. We do have a form.
Okay, approval of minutes. They will mail to you.
Second.
Motion by Yolene, second by Lee Keener. All signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Reports. Number 1, Top League Job Corps Career Services. Miss Diane Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Just want to let you know that Job Corps freeze was lifted, and we are recruiting students for Job Corps, so send them our way.
Good deal. Wow.
They're just going to give us, I think, 8 days this summer rather than 2 weeks for the summer break. We got notification that I think this is going to be 8 days. It'll be right around the 4th of July. So during that time period, we usually go over and use their facility for our youth leadership for our summer youth kids. So we're looking forward to getting that squared away so that we know the date for that. Our 5-year plan went in on time. Jay Littlejohn and his staff worked diligently on this, and I want to commend Lacey Thorne. She also assisted us in making sure that we got that in on time. And Jay and I will probably have to go to D.C. rather than Dallas this time for any orals. That is, if we have to do orals, we think that we may not have to because of the performance rating, and they usually do that with centers that are not meeting the standards. So we're thinking that we probably won't have to. We don't know. It will just depend on our public health. GED graduations are going on in all different sites. I know some of y'all have probably been told about the various areas. I see Councilwoman Hart is shaking her head, and we appreciate it if you can make time to go to the graduation. Sometimes we have a good turnout, sometimes we don't. It just depends. And summer youth is still in full swing. We're getting a lot of parents coming in because most of the schools are out now. And Jeff says he's got applications galore. He got here about 6:30 this morning because today was the first day of day training, and they were lined up all the way down the hall. And we've seen some familiar faces again, and we expected that. And our specialized training is winding down. I spoke with one of the security guards, Mr. Arneger, you were with me,
yes.
Councilman Bird, and he told us that the security guard training was going really well up in the Claremore area, and we're looking to do one down in this area, and we're also going to do some more specialized training in cutlery, culinary, which will be up in the northern area. And Linda Lear and her students are getting ready to wind that first class down, so we'll have some graduates there. And hopefully C&B will be utilizing all of these people that are coming through the training programs, because we've coordinated this through their offices. Are there any questions?
Any questions? Yes, Councilman King.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I see that on your report that you have a new career literacy adult education hire, and Mr. Anderson?
Yes, he is, I don't know, you probably know his sister. She's one of our social workers, Darlene Walker. She works out of our Locust Grove office. I believe that is her brother. And he's worked for us probably about 4 or 5 summers, and he's been trying to get on with us for a long time.
Will he office at Claremore?
Yes, he will.
Okay, that's my question. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilor Watt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I have a question. Is he from Claremore? I mean, is he commuting
He's from Mays County.
from Mays County? Okay. I mean, I don't begrudge him. I just always am challenged that it seems like a lot of the staff that are serving is different now when I first started. But I'm always hoping that we can continue continue to make sure nobody has a commute on our time.
Yes. Well, Mr. Anderson has worked for us for several summers, and he's applied for jobs with us for a number of years. And he was just so excited about getting hired, and he was turning cartwheels. So I think Councilwoman Hargis worked with Mr. Anderson, and she was involved in it.
Very good. And so I had other questions too. Thank you. I look forward to meeting Mr. Anderson if I haven't already. So on sequestration, it looks like I know those issues kind of worked out with Talking Leaves Job Corps, right? And then voc rehab, we can fund people right now too because
Yes.
we've given more money.
Yes.
And then how is the reentry program for felons? Because I know there was a lot of attention given at 5 tribes.
Well,
How-
we don't actually have a budget for reentry. What we're doing is we're setting aside slots for any client who comes in that's in that reentry category with the idea that we'll pilot it and see how it goes. And Daryl is working with a couple of the other tribes to look at where they're actually getting their funding for these programs, because Creek Nation has probably one of the biggest reentry programs of any of the tribes in this area. And so he's working very closely with them. And they were trying to set up a standing committee at Intertribal for purposes of talking about how they leverage dollars for those reentry programs.
Okay, thank you so much, Diane. Thank you to your staff. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any more questions for the Director? Thank you, Diane. Good
Thank
report. Thank you for a outstanding job Saturday at the Strawberry Festival.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Do we have anyone? Oh, we have Dr. Gloria Sly, Executive Director's report. Yes.
We're getting real bad feedback up here on this end, on west, up there, and on.
I can hear too. Who's Mr. IT here?
Good afternoon. It's good to be here, and I appreciate it. And first thing I want to do is apologize for in March when I was here being contentious. I will provide you with information, and then we will answer things later. So you have my report, and so if you have any questions about that, I will answer those now.
Councilor Watts, speaker next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Dr. Sly. And I hope our friend is doing well. I want to. Dr. Moore. I wasn't for sure if I should name him on.
Yes, he's doing well.
Okay, good. So on the scholarship database, we've had a separation and a change. So they'll have to fill out Cherokee Nation Foundation separate from Cherokee Nation now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then on this Cherokee Nation scholarship stuff, they have to, we're still getting feedback, sorry. I can hear it in the microphone. It's kind of distracting. So on the Cherokee Nation scholarship stuff, they have to be filled out in one session. They cannot save that, is that correct? It has to be done in one, so even if they're kicked out or they stop, it has to be done in the same, at the same time, all in one
I
session?
think they corrected that last week, but I'll double check, because when they start those and they don't finish, their advisor will be signed to call them and work with them. Their advisor, so.
Could you send us an email and update us on that? Because I updated our JOM folks in the area that typically end up helping students or reaching out, and it was kind of disconcerting to see that people couldn't finish that later, like save it. So if that's been updated, that's a good deal. We need to let them know that. And then I saw that you guys were reaching out in the field, and I really appreciate that. I had 2 other questions. On the Sequoia High School ACT average, do we have a plan to get that up, that average?
Yes, we did. We are, number one, we received a grant earlier this year, and it is highly emphasizing the working with ACT
And I know that doesn't always happen overnight, so do you know what, happen to know off the top of your head what the number is for, I was late in getting to my report, so I could email you on this.
Okay, you mean the number for the ACT
So
now?
it's right now it's 17 or 18, if I recall correctly, is the average ACT. And I understand that we lump all students, which is not what all schools do. So we're reflecting the actual entire population.
Yes.
So do we know what our goal is at the end of that grant to have that ACT score up, short-term and long-term?
Yes, we hope to have it up to the state average, which is not much higher than ours, but you know, we will do that and then see if we can bring it up higher to meet the,
So is that
reimbursement.
20 or 22 or
20,
20 is
20.5
goal?
really.
And what is it to get into college right now?
It's been to about
What
21.
So OU's 21, OSU's 21? And then the other question I have is on our Miss Cherokee money, I think I went back in the budget and we had approved at budget time, a budget was close to 42,000. That was, I think, originally under leadership and should have been transferred to education.
Yes.
So then at ENF last month, we did a budget mod for around 8,000, which will be reflected tonight.
Right.
But I'm not clear now after looking at it, and I sent it to Lisa, so she had that, and to the chairman. So I'm not clear what we've done, because that budget should have already been there, and then we've approved this other budget. So I'm trying to figure out why we're, like, does that make sense, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman?
Yes.
So I think it's in your departments.
Yes, it is.
So before we get to tonight, I'd like to understand, do we need to continue on that path and approve that 8,000, or is that 42 still sitting there, and what did that pay for, and where did it go if it's not being used for her?
42, there's about 60% of that money that goes toward the selection.
Oh, okay, the actual
selection
competition.
Competition.
Okay.
And so there, and then when we look at all of that, you don't have a lot left for other, kinds of activities. And she has appearances in the 14-county area, plus out of state. And normally, and we will have these policies in mind, Miss Cherokee travels when she receives an invitation. So I think that there were questions about why she wasn't traveling as much, and she has not received those invitations as other Miss Cherokees have. But then Carla, too, would invite her to go out of state stuff, and they would pay. Other programs, when they ask for travel, they normally pay the way.
Because I tried to ask her, how that was working from her perspective, and I don't want to put words in her mouth, but it seemed like it was a internal policy procedural issue on the treasurer's side that stopped her from traveling. And when you looked at that 42,000, wasn't there like 6,000 that was a line item for her travel in there?
If you would yield, I'll have Speaker clarify that. We discussed
Okay,
that.
please, thank
Okay.
you.
Speaker?
We have had a discussion with her parents and with her and with some of the program people. And our understanding is her line item got caught up when the employees' travel was curtailed because of some of the idea that there's going to be some federal cutbacks. The employees' travel was curtailed, and that was sent out in memo form. And for some reason, her budget was caught up in that. Now, that has been addressed. She is back and available for any program that anyone wishes to ask her to go to. Her travel is turned back on. And she is also receiving an additional scholarship amount that will include and defray hopefully some other expenses that she was having on her side, but we weren't able to figure out how to help her with those expenses. And that is in the works too.
It is in the works.
I think we have everything kind of back on track at this point, and Lisa Trice Turtle is going to keep us advised if there's any other situation. So I believe everything is on track.
Yeah.
Her parents
They
and
agreed to it.
everybody appeared to be happy with it. It was just a misunderstanding, and we've got it back on track now. So I think we're fine.
Can I just make sure I understood correctly? So we'll approve this tonight. We've identified that old budget and got that straightened out. She'll have travel going forward, because I don't think she's going to get to go to that Georgia trip because they're waiting on us to
That
approve.
schedule that trip is approved, and she's got her lodging. We did that
Yeah.
last week.
I understood the Georgia trip was approved.
And Red Earth, I believe.
Yes, and Red Earth. Those are two that her
Okay,
parents.
very good, because when I asked her after following the meeting, I don't think that was very clear, maybe somewhere along the line, communication-wise, so I'm excited to hear that. And then we're going to give her a additional scholarship, like in form of a monthly stipend or something?
It's just a form, it's just a monthly stipend.
No, actually, and this is something I hadn't been able to talk with the chair about, it will be a lump sum because we're so far into the year. We just went ahead and figured 6 months remaining, give her a lump sum so that we can gear her up for the summer. Because there's going to be a lot of things this summer that she will be asked to participate in. So we needed to get that money to her instead of rather doing it monthly. And if it's a scholarship, frankly, it's not, it's looked at a different way on taxes.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's move along.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
good speaker.
Okay.
And thank you,
Dr.
Dr.
Sly, is that good? Hey, I had one question. Individual going through immersion, employed immersion, if they want to go and get certification, can they go to school at the same time they work at immersion or not? Is that a policy?
They normally can, but there's also a new policy that we hope by June 15th will be signed by the governor of Oklahoma that allows speakers to be certified without going to college. But once they're certified year to year, once they're certified, they have to do 60 hours of staff development.
Good.
Not 60 credits.
Yes.
60 hours.
Good.
But yes, normally they have a staff development fund that pays for their college tuition.
Speaker, you still have the floor.
Yes. Dr. Sly, I know our ACT scores have been commented on several times in the last couple of months, and I know they've always averaged at Sequoia School around 17 or so. That's not gotten worse over the years. That's just about where we've been at, as I understand it.
Yes.
But I understand you have an exciting new program under this grant that may be able to raise those scores, even though that's been a continuous number, I think, over the last number of years. You're thinking this program might raise that score, is that correct?
Yes, we are. We are working with all the students to get them ready for the ACT to prepare them for it. Because a lot of it is vocabulary, how the questions are worded. But remember, we have really basically 3 years to work with these students, 3.5 years sometimes, because they come in from the feeder schools, and we have to try to catch them up to where they need to be now.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can do that with these students. And that's another reason we're working with the public schools out there to help them raise their scores, because with the STEM in the STEM area and the report cards they had in the 14-county area, the Teacher Institute is going to be very crucial.
Yeah.
And so we're excited about that Teacher Institute.
And how much was that grant for?
$600,000 a year.
And I just had one additional question, and I commend you for obtaining that grant. I commend your group for obtaining that grant and utilizing it to improve those scores, which we've we've lagged behind. But I want to point out one other thing. How many GATE scholars did we have this year?
6, didn't we?
So even though our scores might not compare with some other schools, we still continue to have one of the highest numbers of GATE scholars,
Yes.
Scholarship winners of any school in the country. And I would like to invite you to bring those young people that won the GATE scholarship to, I think tonight would be a little soon, but next month, if she could, bring those to our council meeting so that we might be able to introduce them to the world.
Okay.
I'm very proud of that fact that this school, Sequoia School, has, I guess, the greatest number of GATE scholarship winners total since that scholarship was probably initiated.
Yes.
And it was no different this year than it's been in the past. You all did us good. Take that back to your staff And I think she needs a round of applause for keeping those numbers up like she is. That's excellent, because it's become much more competitive. I'd also like to announce, we had one at Holbert, in case you all haven't heard that. I'm very proud of that. Thank you. Thank you for all your work, and thank your staff for all the work they've done this year.
I certainly will pass that on.
Okay, thank you. Councilor England?
Thank you, Mr. Dr. Sly, early on, we talked about the recommendation letters. I'm getting calls from the students that are applying for scholarships down there. We do away with the recommendation letter, or is it still in, or?
The recommendation letter
From somebody in the communities or
for their
for
application.
their application?
It's still there.
They do, they'll still need to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, because I talked to Dr. Morton last week, prior to this accident. He said he thought it was out, so.
Well, then, if we're conflicting,
And
I
I think
have,
Gary will stand there whenever he,
yes, I will check into it.
because after he told me, then I told somebody, they said, you sure? And I said, well, I'll double check.
Councilor England, if you yield, I think we have.
Okay.
I don't have any new information other than to agree with Councilor England that I understood two things. We were told that the letters were being disposed of. It was a one-year experiment that didn't provide much to the program. And the other thing is we do have a law in the books that says if there's going to be some changes, we need certain advance notice. So if it was changed and then changed back, then that kind of becomes an issue. But I know you'll get us the information. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your patience with me. This past month, my mind hasn't really been on changes in the department. But anyway.
And thank you, Counselor, because that's the information we're putting out there, that it's gone, and then now.
I will get back to you as soon as I get back in the office.
This is something we can really clear up.
Okay. I will get back to you as soon as I get back in the office. Any other questions?
Are you good?
Yes.
Councilor Fulbright?
Yes, thank you. Well, on this subject, the way I understood Dr. Morton, he had told me the same thing, that we did away with that letter because it caused a lot of confusion and hard to get, and we weren't going to do it anymore. But back to the reason I had my hand up was back the reason, the way I see it, on Sequoia schools, on their ACT test scores, looking low, is that I was under the impression that everybody at Sequoia takes the ACT test. And I know a lot of the schools out in the area, only those that are college-bound actually take the test, and therefore their general collective pool of scores are going to be higher because the students who chose a different path or not college-bound didn't even take the test. So that makes a big difference. So I think they might be doing a lot better than, because not all of our students at Sequoia are college-bound either, but they all take the test, so that would bring it down low. I just wanted to make that point.
That is true.
Are we good? Councilor Holmes?
I just want to say, in Stillwell, we had 2, if not 3 Gates Scholars ourselves this year. And my son was one the year he graduated, and so I'm just really proud of that.
You
It's
did good,
something
Frank.
that is very elite scholarship, and to be able to be awarded that is just wonderful.
For those of you council members that do, are not as old as I am, in '96, going back, we're talking about Sequoia High School here. That's been about the norm for the ACT. Dr. Sly was our superintendent. We weren't even North Central accredited in '96. So that was our first action that we took. We contracted with Barbara Worley, teacher I knew who I taught with for many years there at Stillwell High School. We had Sequoia High School North Central accredited in 1996. Correct?
Yes.
Changed the curriculum and did a lot of time and effort. So we have to be patient. And ACT is one measure of students' success or their performance. So I want you guys to keep that in mind as a former school teacher. Thank you, Dr. Schlapp.
I think you're welcome.
Head Start, Verna Thompson.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Any questions for me? Before we do, though, I'd like to announce that we have 2 graduates in Head Start. One got her master's and the other one in AA, and several have just about to finish their bachelor's. And we are sad that we're losing one. There's about 9 of us that are in line to retire, and just, one way after the other, and the first one is May 24th. Mary Ann.
I was gonna say, it's not you, is it?
No, I'm about third or fourth. Any questions?
Any questions? We're still number 1, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's all that matters. Okay. Thank you very much. Dr. Slap?
I just wanted to announce and re-invite you verbally. Sequoia's graduation is May 17th, 6:30, in the place where they play. So please join us for their graduation and congratulate these 77 seniors. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay, we'll drop down to old business, discussion of possible action to direct this studies program. Councilor Digley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I think that Lisa Trice-Turtle is going to get some information together and get back with us.
Okay.
If she's not here, we can wait till next time.
Okay.
Table till next one.
Motion table, second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. New business, resolution authorized submission of administration of Native American Esther Martinez grant. Matt, speaker, would you take that?
Yes, this is a resolution authorizing the submission of a application for a grant for the Esther Martinez project, and I don't believe there was a match on it. There was not a money match, and I would put that in form of a motion.
Second.
Okay. Motion and second discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Resolution 13072, enact to mandate Head Start funding legislation to assure Head Start program continues. This is for discussion. Speaker?
Yes, I just wanted to open this up for discussion, then I'm going to make a motion to table till next month, because we're still trying to obtain what we consider proper wording on this. The gist of what we're trying to do is our Head Start program is the #1 Head Start program in the country. We serve approximately 680 to 685 young children each year. Our slots are always full. It spreads across the 14 counties. However, they have never been budgeted for more than 80% of what it takes to operate their program. And that money is provided by the federal government. Now, as you know, last year we had numerous vacancies within our teaching area because we were not competitive with the salaries out amongst teachers in our communities. So we gave them, through our budget process, $400,000 to just bring the teachers up to a competitive salary level, and we're able, because of that, to mostly fill just about every vacant teacher slot that we have. In order to continue that momentum, we're going to have to raise the bar here and always be able to tell Head Start, you will have that funding continuously, so that each year you don't have to worry about those teacher salaries being reduced to an inferior level than their counterparts out in the public place. Now, we're trying to draw an act that will assist us in the future and make sure that we provide for the needs of the Head Start program, whether this body is the same next year, year after that they can have some assurances that we are dedicated to that program. We don't want to put an amount in that act, but we want to tie it to a percentage. If the government gives them 80%, then maybe we match it with an additional 10%. If the government should, because of some of the federal cutbacks, fall below 80%, then our percentage would somehow be tied so that they would still achieve a level that will keep that program going. Other tribes that we have canvassed pick up the entire 20% and then some. There's not a tribe in Oklahoma that doesn't do more than what we do. And that's somewhat embarrassing for this tribe, and when our people go out amongst the other tribes to tell them, well, man, we're glad you get 100% because we only get the 80% that the government gives us and not a nickel more. And this year they were able to say, well, we are getting more from our tribe. Our tribe does support us in this endeavor. We need to keep this going. So I am preparing you all for the thought that next month I will bring forward an act that will be worded in such a way that we will tie a percentage. I will be asking you to consider tying a percentage to what the federal government provides that program so that we can keep the level and the caliber of teachers that we have now so that we can continue to keep that level, and they're not worrying every year is my pay going to be reduced because we're no longer going to see our tribe support us through some gen fund dollars in order that we can stay where we're at and continue to provide our experience to our Head Start program. And this is not a Head Start program that's just here. This is 14 county-wide. This Head Start program has been here for a number of years. It's managed to achieve success higher than no other program in this country because of the hard workers that we have. But now we need to assist them, in my opinion. So I will be bringing that wording to you next month. And if you all have some questions or suggestions that we might put in that wording, I wanted to get your ideas today so that we can come back with a good, decent act next month.
Thank you, Speaker. Councilor Watts?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I didn't know exactly what the language would be. Well, I guess I did, and it said shall in there. And so I was concerned that we could mandate past this year any kind of guarantee of funding. I don't know that we do that for anything. I don't know if it would be acceptable. It's not that I'm not supportive of the program. I just think that it creates precedents that, I don't know, follows our budget process and our ability to commit beyond ourselves for that year. And I'm concerned about that. And I'm concerned about that if we do this for this program, why wouldn't we do it for other programs? So let's say it is constitutional and it meets muster there in the Constitution and our ability to pre-commit money in future years, then why aren't we doing it for other programs? And then, regardless of all that, when we looked at the issues on their budget before, it looked like they had, for the 5 previous years, had $1 million unspent, or that they were carrying over. So I'd like past budget analysis, and then how they're in this past year where we gave them additional funds for their salaries, how was it utilized? Did it have better effects on their outcomes in terms of the students we're serving, the youth, our kids? And then, what would that look like sustainable over time? If there's a projection for salary growth, what does that look like over the next 5 and 10 years, especially if we're pre-committing money in future years? And that's what I would be looking for at next month's meeting, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilor Hoskins?
And I know, Madam Speaker, working on the language, it does seem to me every year we would have to appropriate it, but if we pass an act, then there is the expectation that the budget that comes over from this administration or any future administration would have to meet the requirements of that act. They'd have to propose some funding. Obviously, every year we may have theoretically $0 or we may have $600 million, but we would expect that if you're going to comply with that act, that you're going to propose, they would send over a budget that would propose that level of funding. I don't know if that's the wording you had in mind, but I'd be glad to work with you on it. I think it's an excellent idea. And the reason we would do this for this program is because this program has not been served the way it should have been served. And this isn't just a one-off deal where this fiscal year we appropriated the money for the raises. The expectations that we need to do that every year. I think, if I understand Madam Speaker correctly, we want to make sure that it lives beyond us, lives beyond this fiscal year, lives beyond this administration, this council. So I yield any comments from the Speaker along the lines of whether we'd still get an appropriation line item coming over, but I think I understand what she's saying. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And I would just add, the one thing that makes this program different from other programs is we fund other programs at 100%. This program has never been funded at 100%. It has always been funded at 80% of its budgeted needs. And that is quite different from other programs. But you have some very good ideas. We will try to address those. I certainly would take your help, Deputy Speaker, on the proper wording. I'm not sure the word shall, were you taking a sure to be shall? Because we don't have a act yet. Did I miss something?
Well, I went through the book, and so let me go back, and I'll have my notes.
That would be number 2 under.
Maybe it was another act, but
Yeah,
there was a
I think
shall part that I was concerned about.
I think it must be another act, Council Lady Watts, because we're still working on this particular act, and I thought maybe you took assurances as being shall.
I don't know, somewhere in the book, I know that we don't have a lot of legislation to look at, because, I don't know, somewhere there was a shall that I was worried about. But if it is shall, I mean, because you're using the word mandate, that's an act to mandate.
We would tie the funding that we would give to the funding that the government gives. So if the government's funding goes down, then obviously our funding percentage will also go down.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question of the Speaker?
Sure.
Thank you. So, I guess let's say hypothetically we were to have cuts. So, the way I understand what you're saying is we would guarantee money for raises or commitments at higher salaries for people that were left, but if there were cuts, we would just cut people with the federal government but still guarantee who's left.
Unfortunately,
We wouldn't have that discussion is what I'd be worried about if we do it the way it's...
What I envision, Council Lady Watts, is that if the government reduces federal programs, everyone takes the same hit. No one is going to probably survive that blade somewhat. And so that's why we're trying to get the proper wording, is that we have a lot of federal programs that we administer. And if federal cuts come, then each program that has federal dollars will basically probably be asked to do just about the same thing. There will be some cuts, but we hope there's enough there for each one of those programs that we can figure out a way to maintain our current personnel and maintain our same level of services, but still reduce and tighten up. Now, that's my hopes. I know every month we've talked about the possibility of federal cuts in federal programs. We haven't seen it yet, but there's a plan in place for the tribe in preparation that if that does happen. This program would not be immune to that, and that's not how we're trying to write this act. And I think that's the assurance that you need, that they will be treated basically like everybody else in the federal pool.
Yeah, that makes sense.
May I?
Sure.
So I think that is one of my questions. I'm just trying to understand what to prepare for next month in order to consider my vote. Is it, what are we guaranteeing with doing this act? Are we guaranteeing that the same 600 to 685 kids are served? Are we guaranteeing that people have pay raises? Are we guaranteeing that they don't lose their job?
This doesn't have anything to do with pay raises. This has to do with maintaining the level that we have now of experience in our positions over there. In other words, we don't want to give them a raise this year that brought them up to the level of their counterparts out in their neighboring communities, only next year to say, no, you don't get that money, so you're going to go back to the level of pay that you were before. They will be in the same boat as their counterparts out in the community. If there's a federal cut, other schools will be cut in the same method and manner. So they will be in that same boat. So if there is cuts across the nation, they will have to take that into consideration. But if there's not cuts across the nation, then we shouldn't each year wait until budget time to assure those teachers that they can stay at the level of pay that we hired them the year before, because we don't chip in our part. There needs to be some protection, and I believe this act will do it, to assure the employees over there that your fee that you're paid is not going to be going up and down, but it will be commensurate with those out in the local community that have the same level of education and the same level of experience.
Sure. And I would encourage you council members to get with Dr. Sly if you have any additional questions for this, and she'll explain to it very thoroughly as she has to me. So we got 30 days to decide. It's not like we're going to vote today.
And
Dr. Sly.
We will be working with Dr. Sly, we'll be working with Bernard Thompson. That's why we wanted to take another month on it and get their input. It's now time that we support our children the way other tribes have supported their children. When we're the only tribe in this state that doesn't kick anything in, folks, that's shameful to a program that has still been able to maintain its #1 status across the country. They're now asking for our help, and I think that we need to provide them some assurances that we will be there for them next year and the year after and the year after that.
Yes, and it's very important because so many of us have had educational opportunities that we pursued and began with Head Start, and it really is a Head Start for our children. So I commend you on that support because even now, as we speak, VIE is proposing a 4.2% cut to the ISEP fund for October 1. We found this out last Friday, and so they're going to be looking at that. One more bit of information, the recommendation letters. The promised scholars and the directed studies applicants both have to provide recommendation letters. The others don't have to.
Make sure we get that in email, would you please?
Certainly will.
Okay. Thank you. Very, very good, Dr. Sly.
And with that, then I would make a motion to table.
Okay, motion, second table.
For 1 month.
1 month. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, any announcements? Next meeting date will be tentatively June the 10th at noon. We are adjourned.